Okay, so let's go ahead and call this meeting back to order. This is our briefing for the week of October 4th. We're moving into budget discussions. And we are going to start with, let me see what I got here. Jennifer Beierle for the overview of the 2022 budget. Jennifer?
Thank you, commissioners. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, can everybody see the general fund revenue overview?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so beginning with the total 2022 budget request, that's the blue column here. You can kind of see it's blue. The estimated beginning fund balance is $21,500,000. The total department revenue is $40,234,781. And the total general fund estimated budget is $61,734,781, including both the beginning fund balance and all the department requests. You'll notice that there's no PLRs in here. The budget level 3 is the same as the 2022 budget requests, so that makes it nice and easy. Any questions on the revenue before we move on to expenditures?
So yeah, just real quick, if we do nothing, the actual amount that's going to be needed if we did nothing at all is what again?
The actual amount needed if we did nothing. So $40,234,781, and that's just the difference between the total general fund budget of $61,734,781 minus the beginning fund balance of $21,500,000. So that's the total of all the department requests here.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions?
Not yet for me.
Okay, I'm going to scroll down to page 2, which is the general fund expenditures. So we have a total for the department requests of, and it's not listed here, and I apologize for that. I'll try and do that on the next one that we have. It's $44,905,631, and so that is the total of, in the blue column, all of the department requests here, not including the ending fund balance. So the ending fund balance would be estimated at $16,829,150, which would bring the total to $61,734,781 to balance to revenues. So we would be using some of our ending fund balance in order to balance. So if we look at budget level 3, which is the commissioner's maintenance level budget, we have estimated department expenditures. And again, this is not listed here, but it's the total of all the department budget level 3 expenditures. It's $41,681,670. So our ending fund balance would be $20,053,111, bringing the total again to $61,734,781. The total PLR, the policy level requests for all departments, is this number here, this $3,223,961. And I have those itemized out, and we'll go through those in a few minutes. So any questions on the expenditure side right now?
Looks like we're good.
Okay, so let's move on to the special funds. So this is all other funds besides the general fund. Well, the general fund is included in the very top line. So I guess this is all funds, but the total of all funds other than the general fund in the budget requests here is $120,410,527. The total budget level 3, and this is revenue. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. The total budget level 3 revenue at this point is $98,634,607. The PLR requests here are actually $22,107,877. So there's a slight difference, and that's because some of it is buried in beginning fund balance in order to balance the total department's revenue and expenditures. So we'll go through the $22,107,877 in revenue requests. We'll go over that shortly and what that all consists of. So any questions on the revenue at this point? No, okay, we'll move on. Great. Move on to the expenditures for the special funds. So the total department requests, again, $120,410,527, and the total revenue, $98 million. Total budget level 3 expenditures, not revenue, $98,634,607. And the total PLR requests, again, this $21,775,921 has money that's buried in ending fund balance. So the actual PLR requests are $24,486,490. So we'll go over that as well in a few minutes. So that's the overview of the revenue and expenditures for all funds. So questions on that at this point? Or do you want me to keep going?
Commissioners, anything? Okay, go ahead and keep going, please.
Okay, so let's go over the beginning fund balance. So that is estimated at $21,500,000. So I'm going to go back up to page 1, this $21,500,000, and that consists of a bunch of our different reserve accounts. So we have accrued leave, which is approximately $350,000. We have equipment, which is for mainly our motor pool vehicles. That's $930,000 approximately. The technology fund reserve is about $265,000, and that's all of the budget that is in the IT related items. So like small tools, IT trackables. The contingency of $1 million, and then the operating reserve is 25% of the prior year's total expenditures. So we had approximately 40 million in expenditures last year in 2020. So we have about 10 million in operating reserve. So the unreserved balance is about 8.9 million. And I'm thinking that we'll use a little bit of that in our budget. So we'll have, at this point, we're using about $1,446,889 of that beginning fund balance.
That's if we do nothing. If we do nothing but status quo.
That's correct, and that's in budget level 3 currently. So that's the difference between the $21,500,000 beginning and then the ending fund balance of $20,053,111. Which
now,
is
when you're doing that calculation, I'm trying to see it here. Are we throwing in timber? Are we throwing in any ending fund unexpended budget authority? Are we throwing in any of those other things yet? Not that I'm saying I want to do it. I'm just wondering if that's in there.
I think there was a little bit in timber. I can double check that. As far as the beginning and ending, the the amount that we expect will be left over. Yes, I did include some of that, but was very conservative in that number.
You remember about what it was? I need to keep that number in my head because that's a very dangerous number at times, even conservative. And the only reason why I call it dangerous is that's where we've been bit before. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm estimating about 4.8 million in here as additional revenue, and a total of additional revenue, and then total of the end reserve that gets put back into the budget. So I mean, I feel like I'm being pretty realistic about it, but still conservative at the same time. I think there's a little bit of room there for us. I think it's probably going to be higher than 21.5 million, our beginning fund balance.
Okay, yeah, and I'm not talking about the beginning fund balance. I'm talking about what we're talking about for revenue for the next year, for 2022. So are we including any timber? Are we including any unexpended budget authority? I expect like you do that we're going to actually be better than what it shows for the ending fund balance. That part there, I have no issue with. I just want to know in our regular calculations how much we are throwing in, if we are, for timber. And you don't have to show me today. You can break it down for me later. Timber and other revenues like that to include. Are we or are we not including unexpended budget authority? For a couple of years, we did away with that. Then we inched a little bit in. And if we are adding it in, I need to know what that number is.
Okay, yeah, we can go over that later on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we are going to have approximately, I would guess, about 7.5 million in ending fund balance at this time that's unreserved. And I think it would be smart to put some of that into a reserve. We have the Skoke fund, and I haven't talked to Loretta about this, but I did talk to Lisa Frazier, the treasurer, about it. And Lisa was in agreement it would be a good idea to do, possibly instead of doing a bridge loan for the Skoke fund 192 for their project, they have in their budget $8 million for a bridge loan, maybe doing a interfund loan instead, as long as it's less than 3 years. So just an idea for the beginning fund balance or ending fund balance reserve. And other ideas are just future capital reserve or future debt reserve. So I just wanted to plant that into your minds, commissioners, or if you want to take some sort of action on that now, or have me bring it back to a future briefing, just something to think about.
Well, how much are they going to, if we talk about that now, first things we have to talk about is how much are they going to have for their ending fund balance? We've been constantly moving some of their money over as well, and they're going to be larger than they were supposed to, I believe, aren't they?
They being the Skoke?
No, being the road, Public Works.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, this is just talking about the Skoke Fund 192, so it has nothing to do.
No, but if we were to do a loan out of the general fund, we also would like to see what there is for monies that are in the Public Works for a loan. If their ending fund balance is growing, by how much?
Okay. So right now, I believe they have approximately 10 million in their fund balance. And I think that I estimated, let's see what they're estimated at. Yeah, I estimated that they would have a $10 million beginning fund balance.
Does that include the monies that was set aside for roads for economic development?
Now that I don't know, and this is just a very rough guess because I'm not as in tune as their finance manager would be.
That's good. I'll ask them when they come up.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so are there any more questions on the beginning fund balance and ideas for reserves, or do you want to talk about it, commissioners?
Commissioners,
So,
go ahead.
so Jennifer, can you just walk through, kind of like what the implications of that would be, whether putting it in a reserve or using it to pay down debt or et cetera, kind of what does that do to, how does that change, what decisions would have to make potentially for the rest of the budget?
So, I mean, it definitely would reserve that funding so that we wouldn't be able to use it other places. So that is something to keep in mind. But if we're in this weird place where if we get too much money in our reserve, or excuse me, in our fund balance, then we're in violation of an RCW. And I believe that amount is around 12.5 million. And so if our budget, if we're at 8 million in that unreserved category, we're okay. We're not in violation of that RCW. So anyway,
yeah. Can you give me the number again that you were thinking would be that we would potentially put into this reserve?
It just depends on what we decide to do with it and the need of like Public Works, they have in their budget 8 million for their need for a bridge loan for the Skoke Fund. And so I'm not sure if that is the exact need or anything like that. I would think maybe like 5 million would be a good place to start as far as some sort of a capital or debt reserve.
Mm-hmm. And what is the I guess I'm trying to think like what kind of debt would be eligible for us to pay down, and would maybe it make more sense just to bake that into the budget versus creating another reserve?
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely do that. As far as what kind of debt we could pay down, I would have to run that through the finance committee. But capital projects, I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk of the future jail, or a future capital reserve. That would be just some sort of a reserve account might be good.
Well, it might be prudent to do that, as we evaluate through the finance committee what debts would make sense to retire or pay additional on. I think we have a really good opportunity to do that right now that we haven't had in a long time, and so I don't want to miss that opportunity, but also want to be kind of thoughtful and strategic about it. So I would be supportive of setting some money aside in a reserve to have that conversation,
Or at least looking at what that would be like. With that, we should have them, although we've been doing it already, we should have them bring in all new numbers on what we have for debts and the percentage of interest that we're paying on those debts.
Right. I think that we have a few capital projects that we're looking at in the future. So might be good to have that reserve for that as well.
And just, I'm sure you already know this, but just to echo out there what I see. One of the worries that we have is, as she explained, if we're close to 12 million being over unreserved, as being a trigger for putting us into troubles. I think our ending fund balance last year was supposed to be for this year 17 million. Is that right?
Our budgeted was 14 million, I believe. I'd have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, I remember us at 17 for something that must have been one of the things included. But with that being said, if we're at 21 now, it shows how it can jump 4 pretty quickly. And 4 above 8 is 12.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, looking at where we were last year at the end of August, we had about 12 million, some odd change in cash, and we ended the year with 16 million plus. And so, you know, right now we're at 20 million in cash. And so if we look at, you know, where we're at this point and add 4 million onto that, assuming that the money will come in at the same rate, you know, we're looking at 24 million, which would put us right on the edge of being, you know, at that $12 million mark for the unreserved cash. So that's why I wanted to bring this up and talk about it, plant different ideas, see if you had other ideas. I do like the idea of reserving it for a while rather than expending it, unless there's a really great need and, you know, we're going to save oodles of money on our current, you know, interest, because it's a really big deal for us to go through and refinance. It's a huge hardship on the accounting staff. So just something to keep in mind. I know
it's not if you pay it off. That's not as
no,
big a
not
deal.
if we pay it off.
Yeah, I think that's what
refinancing.
Judy was talking about.
Yeah, I think, you know, there are probably some there's probably some debt that's kind of lower hanging that you know we might save a couple of years on by paying it off now. We'd have to take a look at that. Certainly refinancing is a different beast altogether. But with, you know, with the capital needs that are hanging out there, you know, it's probably not going to be a bad thing to have a reserve where we have a little bit of flexibility to put that towards those types of decisions. So, you know, I don't have any issue with us doing the reserve.
Well, and then, you know, we've been trying to pick off those things we have that are above 3% interest paying off. And I know you guys already know this, but I want to also say there's another thing that I hope we are looking at as well. And that is providing more services for the community. We've been, it's always scary to spend that money because it always appears like there's less coming in on from what we're budgeting than what we're paying out. But the truth of the matter is it's not. We've been budgeting so tight that we're bringing in more and more monies. With that being said, we need to perhaps look at some of the areas that we are the shortest on services. And now might be the time to provide a little bit of it, knowing that this whole economy thing can shift next year or the year after that. But, you know, a smart investment into services is not a bad thing to consider as well.
Do you have any examples of?
Law enforcement, animal control, different things like that. Right now, I understand that they don't have a dire need for the law enforcement. I don't want to speak for them, but in the things we're talking about, they're trying to fill what they have. But there are some other avenues that we could look at and look into. But what other things are there? Do we have enough people in the assessor's office to actually get the job done right now? What other things have we kept cut to the quick when we had no money?
So along those lines, commissioners, is Russellwood Fund 411, you know, it continues to struggle. And in this budget, the beginning fund balance is inflated because in their budget level 3, they don't have enough money to operate. And so creating maybe a reserve for Russellwood until we can hopefully get them on their feet, help them with capital costs. Well, I guess the capital costs could come out of REIT too. But their day-to-day operating, I'm just worried about their ability to keep afloat.
I know that Russell would could use some capital improvements as well.
For those, we were talking about them looking at capital improvements, seeing what a cost was, and then adding in some admin for ARPA funds to help balance that off a little bit. But I haven't heard back a number or the project from them. Have either of you?
I believe that they're working on those numbers.
So do you want to run through the PLR requests very quickly?
Sure.
Okay, so there's no PLRs for the revenue for the general fund. So this is all going to be in expenditures. It looks like a lot, but really it's not too bad. We've got 4 pages of starting with the assessor's office. They're asking for an FTE. The auditor is asking for an FTE as well. And then just a couple of things. These copier and maintenance for the auditor's office, those really should have went into budget level 3, and I just didn't do it before I had sent it off. So we can go over that in their budget workshop. So the clerk's office is asking for 1.5 FTEs. Support services is asking for 1. District court is asking for 1.5. Oh, they're actually asking for 2.5 in district court. The sheriff's office has 20 FTEs, I believe, in total that they're requesting. Superior Court has 1 FTE, so we have a total of 29 FTE requests for a total dollar amount of $2,431,419, and other salary and benefit requests $368,686, and then the total operating requests $423,848. So the grand total is $3,223,953 for the PLR requests. So questions or comments, or do you want to move on to the other funds?
Questions, commissioners?
Yeah, Jennifer. So I see one of the positions that I believe it's in the clerk's office is related to Blake, the Blake decision. Can we make a note there to double check that might be eligible for some of the funding that we were discussing earlier this morning?
Sure.
Because I do believe that is eligible in all departments that Blake affects.
With us bearing in mind that money ends.
Right.
So they're thinking that this person fully loaded is 79,059.
Yes, and so the salary and benefits on most of these I have not verified.
Okay. So we'll wait for you to verify those too, please.
Okay.
But of course, you didn't even know we were considering looking at those when you came into this, so we don't hold you to that yet.
Yeah, I hope not. Only have so many hours in the day. And I didn't choose to spend my energy there. It worked out really well this year, asking everyone to put their salaries and benefits on one line. That saved a lot of agony. So thank you for letting me do that.
And that makes sense. I mean, a body costs a certain amount regardless of what the pay is. So
yeah, definitely. So on the special and other funds, if you're ready to go through those, the revenue requests are shown here. So we have the current expense transfer in. So in 2021, we did not budget a transfer in, and so far, so good. But I think in 2022, they're going to need that amount to balance their budget. So at least according to how everything's laid out in their budget currently. So we can go over that during Health's budget workshop. But their ask is $376,255 from a transfer from current expense into health. Here's the Mason Conservation District for the Skoke Fund. They're estimating 8 million in pass-through funding, and then another 8 million for local grants. And this is the 8 million I was referring to, possibly doing a interfund loan rather than having them go out for a bridge loan. Russellwood, we've got 199,800 in ARPA funding as a request, and then 110,000 in REIT 2, which I don't think that their capital that they currently have in their budget can support this $110,000 ask. And so again, I'm really worried about how we're going to balance that fund. Beards Cove, they had 8,760,000, or I had that amount in budget level 3, and they had 0 for capital. So I'm thinking this isn't actually a negative request, but it shows up like it's a negative just because I have a number and they don't. They're requesting ARPA funds, 110,888, and that's again for Beards Cove. For Belfair Sewer, we have 551,300 in capital contributions, and I just thought that looked like an awful lot, so I wanted to make sure that was talked about with the commission during their budget workshop. The Landfill Reserve, this amount I thought looked odd, so I wanted to make sure that we talked about that too, because they don't have any revenue coming in to the Landfill Reserve, and so they're estimating a higher beginning fund balance than what we currently have. So I just thought, again, that looked strange, so wanted to make sure that was addressed. In ER&R, we still need to do our ER&R rates, and so so those are showcased here as being in the budget, but not real numbers. And then the pits and quarries amount, there's a very specific dollar amount in the budget, so I wanted to make sure that was addressed as well. So that's the grand total, 22,107,877 for the revenue requests for the special and other funds, and the expenditures. A lot of it has to do with offsetting the revenue, like the ER&R rates. That will clear up most of these once we have those rates.
Could you go back to that other page for 1 minute, please?
The revenue?
Do I have it here? I have it. Never mind. Go ahead. Wanted to see that closer.
Okay, so yeah, these are the expenditures for the special and other funds. The capital, I wanted to make sure that was talked about during Public Works budget workshop. They have approximately 11 million in grant funding in their revenue budget for roads, and then only 1.42 million in the on the capital outlay side. And so I'm thinking that their budget, we need to just plug in what's expected in the annual and 6-year. That first year of the 6-year should match the annual, and then the annual should match the budget. So I wanted to make sure that was not lost in our budget workshops or in our budget process.
Under the sheriff's, they were talking about moving the 20,000 or so here to Taser to its own line.
Yeah, that's just a administrative, moving it from one line to another, to a more.
So what would that have come out of before that, if that's what this is here? What line would I have found that before?
I forget the actual line item that it was. Let's see here. So it was on the trackable tools and equipment. So the line for the sheriff administration ending in 535099.
Uh-huh.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where it was, and then it was moved to I think it was moved down into patrol, if I remember correctly, but we can go over that with them in
Okay.
more detail. Okay, so on the expenditures, is there any questions on the expenditures before we wrap up? Or special funds
No.
at this point? Okay. We can go over that again in more detail in the budget workshops. And I thought this would be a helpful reference during the workshops, this kind of condensed version of the PLRs as well. So if that's all that you have, commissioners, that's all that I have, unless there's any other questions, comments.
Questions, commissioners?
None yet.
Okay. Well, thank you. So I guess I think the first one we have is the assessor
Yep.
for the individuals.
Sorry, Madam Assessor, with that we've run a little bit late, but we're not that far. You want to give up your sharing, please? Or are you going to run theirs?
I think
it's better if you run theirs, but
it's better. Okay.
I do. They can always ask you to go back a page. And
Okay.
hi, Vickie.
Hello. We're sitting in the same office.
Hi. Hi.
Hello. Thanks for the pie. It was good lunch.
My pleasure.
So how would you like me to do this? You want me to share your
Yes,
your
please,
PLR?
because, yeah, we don't need bulletproof vests. I would like some. though.
Maybe. Is this not that?
That was the sheriff. This is us right
Oh.
here.
We'll take the sheriff's budget.
Okay, are you able to see yours now? Your
Yeah.
budget?
Yes,
Okay. Great.
there we go. 1 and 2.
Okay, yeah, there's your PLRs 1 and 2. And that comes to your total ask of the 79,689.
Right. Any questions?
Actually, it's all right looking at it this way, letting us do it this way, because we can also ask any questions we have on any of the things we've moved over to just cost
Sure.
of living. So right now, what you're asking for is a full-time position. You want money to promote somebody.
Yes, that's it.
That's all there is.
And the 14th was, yeah, it's already been approved by you guys.
Yeah, that's just the money for the 14th person that you approved for 9 months.
Okay, well, Jennifer, if we've already approved that, you said for 9 months.
Well, it's for,
Succession training.
yes. So then they would move into the regular person's spot when they retire.
Okay,
So
so are you not asking for this position?
We already
Jennifer?
asked for it and it was approved.
Yeah, so Jennifer, shouldn't this be in,
So which one was approved? The actual position, the 14th position?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, if it was approved, then it should not be a PLR. So sorry about that. That's my.
All right. Now she says it's approved for 9 months, so we need to make sure that we have something in there to note that this is the position that will disappear after the person is moves over to the new position.
The retired position, yes.
So the only thing you have on yours is a promoting incumbent. For that to go through, we have to have a reclass. Is that the one you're asking for a reclass on?
No, it's just a promotion for one of our appraisers.
Okay, at this point, I don't know that we have a promotion policy. Commissioners?
I don't think we do either. I think that would be one thing that I'd like our new HR person to take a look at.
Yeah.
I put the PAF in last week so they can take a look at it.
So at this time, though,
And this
Yeah,
is an
well-
automatic step after a year and they've passed all their classes. So they go from a trainee to an appraiser. I mean, it's just automatic with the contract. So should it
okay,
even? be-
again, that's something different then.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
Really a promotion, that's just an automatic.
So,
Yeah, this- yeah.
so you're telling us that we need to have this in mind because this person is expected to move into that position automatically during this year, and the amount that is expected to cost during the year after they move over is $9,510.
Including cost of living and contract increase, yes.
So
Total.
this too is
Would be maintenance then.
Okay.
well, actually, I'm asking the other commissioners. I see it as maintenance if that's what it is. I wish Frank was on here just to make sure that we're all on the same page on that. But commissioners,
Like this has happened in the past. I mean, that's what you automatically do.
Correct.
Yes, I mean, that's,
usually we just put it in the budget. I've never seen it put like this, but that's because it's probably supposed to be already in our regular budget.
it might be because it's such a significant difference between what he's getting paid and what he will get
Let
paid.
me ask this. This is done by contract,
Yes.
by thing with the, then again, Commissioner Schutte, I'd like your opinion, but I think that this is maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I guess that's, if it's in the contract, it would be maintenance. I did have a question though, looking at your narrative, Patty. You do have on there 2020 FTEs 14, and then 2021 and 2022 FTEs 13.
That's correct.
But we've apparently already approved this FTE that's in here.
Well, and it's only for supposedly a 9-month period of next year. And then once that person retires, this person will go into their,
And we'll be back down to 13.
we'll be back to 13.
Okay. Gotcha.
So are you comfortable with taking these over to maintenance?
I am.
Commissioner Trask, I think you already said it, but I want to, just in case I didn't want to blow over the top of you there. Did you say you were also in agreement that these are maintenance?
I believe so.
Okay, Jennifer, if you can move them over to maintenance, and it sounds like we're done.
Yay,
I
thanks.
do have a question. So is this position then, is it going to be for 9 months or is it going to be permanent?
It's 9 months.
9 months. Okay, so I have the other position budgeted all year. So some of that is going to be double covered then.
Well, it is because they're using this as the training position. This one is, that one that's in the other position is training
Mhm.
this person. So after 9 months, this one disappears and they just move right into that other position.
Okay.
At a lower rate, so there'll be money coming back.
Are we clear as mud, Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners, do you have any questions for the assessor?
No.
Madam Assessor, do you have anything else for us?
I don't.
Then we thank you very much for stopping by.
Well, thank you so much for having us. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have Superior Court on?
No,
No, but you have the county clerk on.
Let's see, what do I have here? I have the assessor, and then after the assessor at 1:30, I have 1:45 Superior Court Clerk. Sharon, okay, yeah, County Clerk.
Good afternoon,
Good
Commissioner
afternoon.
and Jennifer.
Hi, Sharon.
Let me find you. There you are.
Oh, I can turn my camera on.
Please.
Okay, here I am.
Oh, that's what you look like.
Yeah, it's been a while. I hope all of you have been healthy and doing well.
Always.
Good.
Even if we're not, we fake it.
I know the feeling.
Okay, so Sharon and commissioners, can you see the clerk's office expenditure budget? Yeah,
Yes.
Do.
great. So the clerk is asking for, or Sharon, did you want to?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
It's great to hear your voice, Jennifer.
Okay, great. So the clerk's office is asking for the one unapproved budget request, and this is for the Blake decision, FTE, and then a half a position, promoting that half a position to a full-time FTE. So all of these benefits go along with both of these positions. And I let Sharon slide, but I was a stickler with everybody else. And I did that because there's only the two positions. So it wasn't as big of a deal to just have the benefits on, each corresponding line with the budget request. So that's why those are spread out there.
Explain to me the increase for 1.5 position.
So the 0.5 position is a current permanent half-time position that was used to be Ruth Flakus, and she retired at the end of August. And we have just hired a new person to fill that position, part 0.5. And I'd like to move that into 2022 as a full-time position.
Okay, so what I was talking about is something different. Jennifer, from what I'm reading, this is the 1.5 is including the additional clerk for the Blake decision.
Right.
Yeah, that is the one that's in the PLR.
So that's why it's 1.5. It's the 0.5 for the increase, and the one is the person above it.
Correct.
If we were to create it.
Correct.
And on the Blake decision one, if we were to create it, how would we keep track of it for when the Blake funds are done?
That's a really good question. I'm not, we're already having a struggle with keeping track of Blake time. It's pretty much just been folded into what our daily processes are. So it's tricky to pull it out. But if I received that other position, that would be their job. They would be my Blake expert, and that's all that they would be doing.
I'm hearing that from the WASC, the other commissioners are also saying that it's and the prosecutor's office and the public defender's office and everybody involved. It's hard to track.
It's very difficult to track because we're just doing it in our regular daily processes. It's not, yes, we have these Blake hearings, but it's on a calendar day that includes other type of cases and other type of hearings. So it's not just a Blake calendar.
Right.
On the coding, Jennifer, when you're putting these things in, is it possible for you to link it to a revenue?
So,
in case something was to happen to you tomorrow, if you were to fall over or something, for somebody else to come in, be able to click on it and show where that revenue is coming from to show that we have to keep track of it. Because if we were to create this position, we can create it forever and just enjoy the money that comes in for that moment, knowing that we're going to have a bow wave, or we can have it connected to something.
So there's not a real way to link it up that's easy. I did in all of the revenue, I did segregate it so that the grant funding is in a different color and is separated out here. But that's as far as I got. As far as linking any type of revenue to the expense, I haven't been able to do that. yet, just due to lack of time. But that is on my goal list for this budget, so I'll try and do that before the next budget presentation for you.
Commissioners, where are you at on this particular issue? On her request for that additional clerk for assistance with the Blake decision?
I know it's in the funding as one of the things that we can do with it.
But it sounds like we have to either create the position or not create the position, and then where we get the funding for this year, unless we can find a way to tag it, which we don't know how to do that yet. It's more like we are making a decision, take it out of our general fund with the idea that we're going to get reimbursement from the Blake monies.
Right. Well, I know the time-consuming process, that's for sure for everyone. Just real quick before it escapes my brain.
Yes.
We did get the contract signed, right? To go back to AOC.
It's going to be on next week's agenda.
Okay, great. Because I think there's only 10 counties that have gotten that contract in, so we need to make sure that we're included in those that get that signed in. So back to this. I know you guys need it, that's for sure. I would feel comfortable adding the person in, and then as we get closer to the end of the Blake, getting that under control. I don't know when that will be, and I don't think anybody does.
Well, I am sure that you probably looked at the responsive email that I sent when you sent the contract out about the amount of refund that we're looking at as opposed to what they've granted Mason County. And so that concerns me a bit too. So, but my guess is that in the 2022 legislature, they're going to have to pony up some more funds for those refunds. So, and my understanding is that the prosecutor's office is only looking at refunds for those that are requesting them. We're not seeking out people to send them refunds just because they've paid it. So I don't know. We won't refund anything without a court order. So
the way we may have to do this, commissioners, is allow it or disallow it, but allow it and then keep a separate tab that says we're going to request, let's say 55,000 times 2 years out of the Blake funds for this position.
Okay.
Or we say no.
I would hate to say no, because I know this is going to take up, like I said, it's very time consuming.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just throwing out making sure we know the options.
the realities.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I would definitely ask for reimbursement and maybe put it on there for 2 years and then reassess. Could we do that?
Except for that's what we're talking about. It's going to be hard to reassess the actual position. It's going to be hard to keep track of them. Perhaps Jennifer can help us find a way to keep a running list of them, because we've been putting a lot of them on, and I don't know that we've started from the beginning to write them down. But it sounds like an option we can maybe try to work on. Commissioner Schutte, what are you at on this?
So I would probably put this in a parking lot for now and see what all of the other criminal justice offices are asking for Blake-wise, and then revisit them as we get closer to finalizing the budget. I think worst case scenario is we do these as temporary positions, and for a year, and I'll say bite the bullet on it, as a worst case scenario, and then really try to seek out as much reimbursement as we can, and put this against the money that we already know we're getting that's related to Blake. I think the work is going to be there regardless, and this is kind of a unique situation, I think. And so but I want to understand sort of system-wide what the asks are going to be just related to Blake. And then I think we can put those all together and then come back at the end and maybe have a little bit more clarity, but, you know, at the same time, just be able to kind of understand, okay, for 2022, you know, this is what the impact is going to be relative to these Blake positions.
So what I'm hearing, and I think I'm agreeing, whatever we do with that, I would like the idea of it being put down as a temporary position for 2 years or a year, however we decide. I will support myself the idea of us just parking it to make the decision at the closer to the end. Although I am heavily leaning for saying yes, don't get me wrong. It is always nice to look at it at the very end, but I think we're going to end up going with it, and it's how we find out a way to fund it. But I would think you might want to count on doing it as a temp position for a year or 2 years to get full support. That's what it sounds like to me from 2 commissioners, and
All right.
maybe the same for the third after hearing that that is an option. Commissioner Trask, did you want to comment at all on that, or I didn't want to jump in front of you?
Oh, no, I was just going to ask Jennifer, we're having a meeting on Friday with WASAC. And so if I could get an idea of how much each office is requesting for Blake, that would really help. I think all counties for arguing for more monies.
Yeah, I can say it's safe on this one. For that position, we're looking at 55 all round up.
I'll put an email out.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
And Sharon already did give me hers. Sharon Fogo gave me her estimate. It was, I believe, 800,000, correct? That you were.
That was just for the refunds for criminals who have paid their legal financial obligations.
I was going to say, I don't see that 800,000 in here anywhere.
No, that wasn't part of my budget. That was.
No, it's not part of the budget.
That when I looked from 1993 to current of how much has been paid on legal financial obligations on just Blake only cases. So that's just the unlawful possession of a controlled substance.
Well, hopefully as we get closer to that, they're going to give us more money to pay for that directly.
Right. I think there's like $500,000 short in the refund line.
Right. So you're saying that so far it's at 800,000 just for refunds.
Yes.
But that doesn't cost, that's not counting for the cost of time and.
Correct. That's just the legal financial obligation refund amount that I've have computer access for, essentially, because the law goes back to 1971 and we didn't come on computer line until 1982.
Okay, so back onto this one. Are we in agreement? We're going to park this and revisit it at the closer to the end decision point, with the idea that it's probably going to be temp if we create it, and we're going to keep track of the amount of monies for potential Blake. Did I couch that correctly, commissioners? Yeah. Okay, so that brings us back to the 0.5. On the 0.5, are we in agreement with increasing this position from a 0.5 to a 0.10?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay. All right, so we will move that over today.
Awesome.
Is there anything else we're missing on this one, Jennifer?
Yes, there is, I believe, one more PLR. Just let me finish up my note here.
No problem.
So yes, there's one more PLR left for travel for a conference, so for 2,800.
What kind of training? Who's it for?
This is for me. It's not only for training, but also to show the other county clerks that the Mason County is a viable option for potential conferences to try and get some tourism here. So it is training and I want to say community building, essentially.
Marketing. Commissioners, where do you fall on this?
What did we have this line at for for current year budget, Jennifer?
Well, for current year, we had $200.
That was the cost of just the sign up for it?
That was one night at conference.
I think a good idea for our electeds to go out and I don't want to say schmooze, but
Schmooze.
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to say that. So that's good.
So you're in support, Sharon?
I am.
I myself, I have some issue with it. I have no problem with paying for training and stuff, but I don't know that it's a proper use for us to try and bring people in. We have organizations we pay to do that.
Well, I was looking at potential bid for the county clerks to come here and possibly use one of the facilities in Mason County as a training conference center. So that's,
Why would that cost $2,600 more?
it wouldn't, but it's me getting myself out there to promote our county
Okay.
and training. I mean, I learn a lot while I'm at these conferences. So
Okay, like I said, I don't mind paying for training, but so I'm still staying in the same place on this one. Commissioner Shooty.
Yeah, I mean, I think having I get it, but I think there maybe is a number between 2,800 and 200 that makes sense. I can say for us, I mean, we get 500. So I mean, is there a number that's a little bit more amenable?
sure, we can, yeah. I mean, even if we reduced, just added another 800, I would be thrilled.
But 200, does that cover, is that for the cost of the hotel or is that just for the cost of the training, the conference?
Well, the 200 covers the cost of the conference, not the hotel.
And so how is that covered? I mean, does it come out of a different,
I don't,
here I'm going, help me with this, Jennifer. I don't understand how, so you're paying for the conference and this goes for everybody. So you're just helping me understand. So you pay for the conference.
Yeah, and the conference comes out of actually the 549 bars line. So that would come out of like a miscellaneous line, the conference itself, and then the travel to get there. So if you have to drive a vehicle and you get reimbursed for that, that would come out of travel, and the hotel stay also comes out of travel.
Gotcha. So it's a different.
A different line. Yes. And so
maybe this is an education for me as well, because I'm not sure that I'm paying for the conference out of the correct line if it's supposed to be coming out of miscellaneous. So.
Okay. And you do have $600 budgeted in miscellaneous, but I'm not sure if anything else comes out of there.
Okay.
So maybe, do you want to come back with a different thought process or a different amount now that I understand it a little bit differently?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I think it would be helpful if we had a breakdown of what you're expecting those costs to be.
Sure.
I'd be a little more likely to be supportive of myself if I saw some kind of breakdown, but just saying it's going to cost $2,800 and we're going to go out and send you out as our ambassador, I just don't see that one as the job, as part
totally
of the
understand.
As was mentioned for us and commissioners, I think we have $500. I don't think I ever use it, so I don't know. But that's me. We could.
Yeah, the only time I think I've used it is for risk pool, and then they reimburse.
Yeah,
So you have to have something there just to
yes.
run it.
And I would agree. I'm the same. It has been in for risk pool, but it was reimbursed.
Okay, so we're keeping it as a PLR for now until we get a breakdown of costs.
Yeah.
That's
All
All right, I can do that.
right. Anything else that we're missing? Commissioners, do you have anything for Sharon?
I do not.
All right, Sharon, thank you. You have anything else for us that you'd like to ask? What you got us?
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Next up is the auditor's office. Patti McGuire and Leo Kim. She don't look like Leo.
Leo, get in there.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Leo.
Jen's over here.
Hi.
We have our whole management team here. Well, minus one. My Marie Stevenson, my election superintendent, is as she calls it, elk shopping at the moment.
Well, I hope she finds a big one.
I take donations.
Okay, so I do have your PLR worksheet up on the expenditures. So these two items, I went over this, or not this morning, seems like forever ago, it was an hour ago. The $250 and 200, those we're going to move over into maintenance since you were reallocating the costs.
Right.
So,
We've gone from four offices when elections was upstairs, 4 offices split that cost. And we're now splitting it 3 ways. So that's the story there.
okay, as long as commissioners, you're in agreement with that still.
I'm in agreement with.
Maybe.
Great. And so Patty and everybody else in the auditor's office, do you want to just run down sequentially here? Is that okay?
Sure. So are we on?
So now we're on, I don't think financial services had
I'm
anything.
looking at new staff training and increased training.
Yes, and oh, this is in financial services, $2,000 ask for training. And Leo did get me the detail earlier today.
So I detailed a little bit of it out, and then we also have a new staff that we wanted to provide a little extra training. So that was the increase.
That's for this
So-
staff already hired, right?
I'm always in support of that. I just think that's coming on us to take care of that. Commissioners, where are you?
Supportive.
Her head's shaking yes. I think she said yes.
I
So
said yes.
move that over to maintenance, please.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting me the detail on that, Leo. Okay, so the next department or program that we have within the auditor's department is the recording. And they have an ask for a 0.5 FTE here and then a 0.5 in licensing. So 1 FTE, but split half and half. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. I'll have Jill tell her, the recording manager, walk through the need for the position.
Okay, so per our request for 2022, we're asking for a reinstatement of an office tech position full-time, but as Jen said, half out of licensing and half out of recording. To give you the commission just an idea of why we're asking for this position is because currently in recording, we are 5 months behind in indexing and verifying. And to give the commission an idea of what index and verifying is when a document comes in to be recorded, we scan the document into our software. And then we have to have staff that go behind and index, the grantor, grantee information, trustee, beneficiary, assessor's parcel number, and abbreviated legal. And those parameters allow us to find the document. Well,
And the public to find
and the
document.
public, yes, to find the document. That is the purpose of recording, is to make it public record and also to be able to find the document. Well, due to low staffing levels, increase in property sales. We know property sales have been through the roof over the last 2 years. And trying to keep up with just the daily recordings, we are falling behind. May 1st through current, September 30th, we are behind. So when customers call or customers come in concerned, hey, I just, purchased some property back in May. I don't see it online. I can't find it. Or I paid off my loan several months ago. I don't see it online. It is an extreme frustration for them to not be able to find the document. It also takes my staff a considerably amount of time away from indexing or doing these duties that should keep us caught up, because we're trying to research and we are trying to locate these documents for our customers. It just takes away so much time, because it's basically, yes, you're looking at a scanned piece of paper and you have no other data to look at. So you're asking them, well, when do you think you recorded it? What type of document? We have so many document types. Imagine trying to find and narrow down one specific document for somebody. So it takes away a great amount of time for us to find it. So it's crucial that we have reinstated this employee so that we can get somewhat on our feet to get current to be indexed. And I hope that, does anybody have any questions on the whole indexing and verifying?
Well, I don't on the index or verifying, but on the position itself.
Mhm.
Jennifer, I do not see anything for their any increases on insurance, retirement, medical.
So that's because it's all included in the one line item. I request that departments do that for ease in budgeting.
And I'm good with that, as long as I know that's where it is, that it's not still holding out there. And so you're talking about hiring one person to do both jobs, so that one person will be paying medical for one person, or not two 0.5 FTEs with two medical payments, two retirement payments, two.
So this
We're
is
reinstating an employee that
this is one position divided by one position fully loaded divided by two. So it is
Okay.
We're going to hire one person and we've just split the cost equally. So yeah, it is not two insurances. It's one insurance. All our staff upstairs is cross-trained to do both recording and licensing. And if I could just add here, there are sort of three alternatives that I face in looking at our backlog of indexing and verifying. We can either sort of stay on the status quo and fall farther and farther behind. We are not going to catch up. We're going to fall farther behind. We can reinstate this position and get on top of this and stay on top of this, or we can spend this much money or even more on overtime to get caught up. And I don't think, that's bad for morale if I'm forcing people to come in on the weekend, and it's really expensive. So we have a relatively senior staff in our office, and which is great that we have employees who are dedicated, but it also means they take a lot of leave and earn a lot of leave. And so scheduling upstairs is a real challenge. And I am thrilled to have a senior staff, but it's part of that is a trade-off. So I think this will allow our employees to take the time that they have earned and serve the public better.
Well, I'm in support of this one already. I'm one of those people that get the phone calls. on this particular position on recording, as you can imagine.
I do too.
Yeah, and I completely understand, and this is one of those things I think is a necessary expansion as we're moving forward. The idea that we're going to be cross modalities makes me happy. The idea that it's one person instead of two split because they're doing cross modalities saves us money, and I'm supportive of moving forward on this one. Commissioners,
if I can add just one more thing, I mean, this is sort of bad economy proof. I mean, if the economy tanks, people still record documents. I mean, it might be for less happy reasons than they're buying new houses. But our business doesn't go down in a bad economy.
Foreclosures and everything else.
Yeah.
Commissioners, who wants to start on this one? Commissioner Trask, you want to jump in?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think it's a great idea. I see how busy you guys are and feel for you. So I support the one position split in half. That makes sense.
Commissioner Schutte.
Same.
Are we good with doing it right now?
Nice. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then please move it over. And Jennifer, I do know from past experience with our commissioners, please keep track of these because in the end, they will ask you to show them one more time what we've done.
I will. Thank you for reminding me though.
No go backs on this one though.
No, I'm telling you that we've done this before. But we'll keep track and keep that number still. We have to keep it low. It's just the way it is.
So with that ask, it comes an additional desk.
As you may know, we were able to reallocate some leftover grant money in elections to redo the office upstairs. It looks really nice, but we will need an extra workstation, and it would be nice if it matches.
That 2,900, is that computer and all too, or what are you thinking there?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, that's everything.
Yeah, that's a whole workstation, computer, hookup, everything they need.
We're already doing that now anyway. Commissioners, where are you at on this? I want to add it to the budget or separate it and have it added later when we start doing the computers in there.
Kevin, what did you say?
I was going to say to just do it now.
Okay.
But
Commissioner Trask?
Well, the floor is not comfortable, so let's get him a desk.
Okay, let's make it happen.
Okay. The next thing is travel and lodging for 1,500.
This is in licensing?
It is, yes.
Now this is an increase of 1,500.
Yes.
Correct.
Because
Jen Rose, our new licensing manager. So why don't you just walk through it?
It's for training. So every year the DOL puts on a 4 to 5 day training over normally northeast of the mountains. I apologize. It's been in Spokane. It's been in Leavenworth. It's always usually over somewhere there, but it's a 4 to 5 day training, which sometimes will require going over Sunday night or, Monday morning if we'd help back on Friday. And although the management position always goes for that training, it would be very beneficial to be able to send another employee for that training as well. And that is my hope.
So in the past, we had 1,000. Did we take care of what that 1,000 was for? Or
that
that's
1,000 was
still
for
needed?
That was for the one individual. 2 individuals, it was not possible to go. And then now we have the rising cost of hotel rooms, the rising cost of gas. And I'm not sure if it is going to be in public, or in person as well. It's just in hopes. It's a great training opportunity for new people.
Okay, Commissioner Schutte, what are you thinking?
I'm supportive.
Commissioner Trask?
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, let's move it over.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so the next thing that we have is $24,139 for professional services, and this is to contract out website design. And there's a separate PLR for this and the positions as well, but anyway, there's a little bit more explanation that the auditor's office put in.
So the story here is in 2019 and prior, the Secretary of State's office maintained our elections website. In 2019, they stopped doing that and we took it in-house. We had a new employee then and we trained her up on web design and she did it and then she left. And so rather than being in this cycle of training people and having them leave, it sort of makes sense to me to just contract this out and just go straight to a professional rather than creating professionals. So that's, this will not be an ongoing cost at this level. So this is to do sort of the background design work that we need. And then a smaller ongoing cost, my guess is $10,000 or $15,000 ongoing.
I myself, I don't like your website. Sorry, Patty. I really don't. It was really hard to work with and it was sending me in different places in the wrong place. I actually would love to see the county doing this as a whole. But I haven't heard that as a discussion anywhere. I'm just telling you that's where I would like to see it. It would be a wiser investment because we have different issues with our own websites as well. But again, we haven't had that discussion about doing it holistically. Commissioner Trask, would you like to start off on this one?
So would this be something that we could task our IT committee to take a look at? So that we could do it for at the county level, or because I think
Commissioner Schutte, are you going to receive that ball?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that anyway, because I think this is a good candidate for discussion there. I wouldn't want to make this decision without first walking through the process with TJ at least on that committee, and there might be a conversation about a bigger website rebuild that we could have as well. So that would be my recommendation. I like the idea. I get the reasoning behind it, but I think this is a perfect candidate for discussion at the IT committee.
So this is put on a placeholder for the IT committee, and we'll come back before the budget time is done to have further conversations. You're comfortable, Patty?
That's good. Thank you.
Okay.
So the next thing is $2,000 increased request for training costs for new employees. So currently budget level 3 is $1,000. So they're asking for an additional $2,000 for that.
So we have two relatively two-thirds of our election staff is new. There are legal requirements for training. They need to be certified by the state of Washington, and that takes training hours. And so this is making sure that we are have a fully trained and certified election staff.
Is all this truly needed, Patty, or is there a happy medium in between?
They're really, I mean, by law, they need to be certified within 2 years, and there's you have to accumulate 80 training hours, including attending the state elections conference. I mean, attendance at the state elections conference is mandatory. So we are.
If you're telling me this is a number, I believe you. That's what I'm asking. You're telling me
it's
this
a real
is the
number. It's a real number.
Then I'm supportive. Commissioners?
Same, I am as well.
Commissioner Trask? Okay. Move it over, please.
Okay, and that is it. That's all of their budget requests. There's a total of 100,144 in requests. The other funds, 104, there's no PLRs, and in 109, no PLRs. Those are election equipment and auditors O&M.
Any questions for Mr. Auditor? Commissioners?
Not for me.
No. Any last questions from us, Mr. Auditor?
No, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yes.
All right, have a nice day.
Thank you.
So next is support services. Sorry, I stole your thunder there.
Steal away. It's all good. Now, I'm not seeing Frank on here, so are you taking that?
Yes,
Okay.
And Diane.
and yes, and Diane. And I don't know if Diane's on.
Yep. I think she is.
I'm on.
There she
Okay.
is.
Great. So we have our first PLR is a training and exercise staff position. This is in DEM. And Ross did a really good write-up about this position before he left. And this is currently, Will is in this position, who works in DEM. And for this year, for 2021, he is fully grant funded. And this budget request, there is some grant funding. So the total 76,692. Let me get the grant funding. Okay, so the position would be funded by grants of about $50,000. So the budget impact would be approximately 27,000 roughly.
So that's 27,000 increase over last year's general fund ask. Is that what you're saying?
So the revenue that would come in to offset, so this position is partially grant funded. And so the total cost of 77,000 would actually be about 27,000 after the grant funding of 50,000.
What was our share last year of that same position?
I believe that this position is fully funded between FEMA and I don't remember what other grant it was.
So you're saying it's an increase to the general fund of 27,000?
Yes, exactly, for 2022.
Now, especially for this year, personally, I believe we're still in the situation where this is all still needed and could be needed even more this next year. We don't know. I'd hate to see us do anything to change it in the middle of everything going on, because he's been filling other voids as well. Commissioner Trask, what do you think about this?
And no, and I think it's also, I love to talk, think about the future and succession planning. And so this would be a good candidate, I think, for that.
Commissioner Schutte?
Yeah, so Jennifer, have we already received this grant, or is it, do we have to go through a competitive process, or what's the sort of the status for 2022? I get this year, but I'm thinking for this position for 2022.
So I believe that the EMPG grant, we've already secured that grant, but I'll verify that with Tammy.
Okay.
The 35,738. The other funding, I don't know what that is. ARPA grant 14,205. Tammy might know, so I can check with her.
Okay.
Are they saying that they're asking for it to come out of the ARPA funds?
Yeah, that's what it looks like, unless there's some other grant, ARPA grant out there. I don't know.
Yeah, because if that's the case, ARPA is going to go away. So no. So is the 14 included in the 26 that it's going to cost the county?
That's the question.
Yeah, so the 14 would be in addition to, so instead of it costing the county 27, it's going to be an additional 14 on top of that 27. Unless it's funded through ARPA, partially funded through ARPA.
Right. Okay. So what you're saying is 77,000, take the 35,700 off of that, And then, potentially the 14,000 from ARPA gets us to the 27. Otherwise, it would be 41
Yes, exactly.
out of the general fund.
That's correct.
I wonder if there's some more grants out there that we could tap into for DEM.
I would agree with you, Commissioner. I think there is.
Yeah.
Question is right now, who's doing that work to find out?
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I was going to say, so I'd be supportive of this, but I'd like to put it in the parking lot and just kind of get a little bit more detail around, exactly what that ARPA is, if that's coming out of, our our allotment or some other pot of ARPA money that's out there.
I support putting it in the parking lot also for the same reasons. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Either way, I know that ARPA goes away, but it seems like even the other half of the position grant, is only for a year anyway. We're gonna be looking at this annually anyway. So I guess I don't have too much heartburn about that, but just want to be clear about where the money's coming from and that push-pull effect, I guess, on the ARPA money.
And I wouldn't, if I was him, if he's watching us, I wouldn't worry too much. We just need to know exactly what's happening, where it's coming from. I also believe that we're going to end up keeping what we have going on, I would hope, but we need better clarity on this. That's my 2 cents. And I'm just basing that off of something that Commissioner Trask had said also. Commissioner, are you in the same place as what we had just discussed?
Yeah, just looking for a little bit more information.
Okay. Commissioner Trask?
Yep.
Okay, that's where we're at.
Once we have a DEM manager in place, I think that'll help too, and maybe helping secure more funding, that sort of thing.
And I'm hoping that person will be dedicating a lot of time to getting more funding and making the program. I don't want to say that it's not perfect, but it's close, but we need to go a little bit further.
What else you got, Jennifer?
Okay, so we have $1,200 for overtime. So far, we've expended through June $682 in overtime, and there's nothing budgeted. So we just put in a request for $1,200 for next year.
Sounds to me like you're saying this is basically a maintenance of what's actually expected in reality. It's what we have going on.
Yeah, I mean, I know with COVID and everything, it's not a guarantee that next year will be as busy, but
it's easy enough to budget at $1,200 though. Commissioners, are you supportive?
Yeah, I am.
Mr. Schutte?
Yes.
Okay.
the next thing that we have is the Public Records Coordinator for $83,640. And Diane, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, the request is for this public records coordinator, and also that position would serve as a records retention person for the whole county and be a point of contact for public records. And now that we've taken on GovQA, Mackenzie is being the administrator. And so we've really stretched Mackenzie thin on that because she's the point of contact for the entire county and training on that, making sure all the training for all the officers is kept up to date. And then a big hole that I always see across all the departments is making sure records are managed according to retention schedule and then disposed of. So this position, what I see it as is being not only for our public records, but records management in general, and really optimizing our laserfish so we can help departments manage their records, really going electronic as much as we can, and then just keeping them up to date on retention.
This is a lot of money, but the way this year has been, and I don't expect it's going to change, I think this actually saves us money and keeps us better prepared for what's coming next. So even though it's a big chunk and I'm choking on the amount, I actually am supportive of it, just because I really believe this is going to be more than necessary as we're moving forward. Commissioner, how about Commissioner Schutte?
Yeah, very supportive of this. I think it's a necessary position internally for central services, but also as a liaison to all the other departments and offices in the county, and to the public. I mean, there's an expectation that records requests are going to be, handled in a timely manner, and that, there's certainly been no shortage of record requests this year and in the past couple of years. And so this is money that ultimately I think is well spent, and helps prevent liability internally in the county, and also helps provide an important public service.
Commissioner Trask.
I don't know. I think McKinsey can split herself a couple more ways. No,
I want to keep her, Commissioner, please.
Then Diane, you can split. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you better be, Commissioner.
Yeah. Kevin, dang it, you're going to get us all in trouble.
Sounds like something's coming through my wall.
Yeah. Okay, sounds like we're all in agreement, so we're ready to move forward on that one.
Thank you.
Oh no, thank you. That was fun.
The last couple of items that I have are for non-departmental, or that we have, I should say. Non-departmental, we have $1,000 ask for increased outside auditing services. So currently we have 16,000 budgeted for.
I think that's maintenance.
Okay.
Commissioners, maintenance?
Yep.
Yeah, maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay, it's well worth the money. That's our Teresa Johnson CPA. She's amazing.
Is that a change in rate for her firm, or is there some?
I mean, I'm sure she'll increase her rate. We haven't received an increase for next year. I mean, she is pretty inexpensive compared to other places, and then what she gets, I think she's very reasonable. But anyway, yeah, it's not because of an increase in rate. I think we were anticipating maybe an increase in need.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't be surprised if we throw more that direction.
Yeah, definitely supportive. Just was curious if there was some change in the agreement with her or whatever.
Okay. And then the last PLR that we have is $90,000, and this is property insurance. And for all the special funds, I've moved the property insurance increase into maintenance, but for non-departmental, for the general fund, I left it in PLR because last year we absorbed it for 2021's budget. So I wanted to make sure that was showcased and not just moved into maintenance, even though it was in the budget instructions to budget 10% above 2020's number.
I think maintenance, commissioners.
I agree.
Yep, maintenance it is.
Great, and that was all that we have as far as PLRs go. So, so great. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Diane.
Commissioners, any questions or anything?
Nope.
All right, guys, thank you very much. So then that brings us to the end of our work today. I will entertain a motion to adjourn, and then we'll meet back 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Do we have health department at 3 today?
I don't on my list.
Community
I have
service.
3 o'clock community services.
You do?
Yeah.
Mine ends at 2:15. We're going off of mine. No, just kidding. Okay.
I'll second that.
So 3 o'clock.
Sorry, Dave.
Hi.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on into community services.
Dave was just like, well, I guess that means I get everything I asked for. So.
Okay. Okay, so here is community services to the top there. Okay, so Dave, I don't know if you want me to kind of navigate this for you like I've done for the other
Yes,
departments.
please. It's
Okay.
difficult for me to do from this side.
Okay, great. So Kathy Chazé and I went over some of the things, some of the expenditures here. And I believe everything that we have for community development, Department 125, is going to be maintenance level because they do have their own offsetting revenue, and their revenue is in the positive. But we had a few things that we just wanted to kind of showcase. So the first one is this 25,000 for extra help ongoing, and it was approved April of 21 as budget neutral. So anyway, it has offsetting revenue.
So if we're already approved it, then it's got to be maintenance. Commissioners, you agree?
I agree.
Okay, what do you got next?
Next, we have $30,000 increase for extra help. And this is for fire marshals, and it's supported by additional revenue. So currently we have 10,000 budgeted for the fire marshal. And
I thought we were creating a position there. What happened there?
Hey, Kel, are you on? Anyway, so we're looking at adding that to that. I'm not sure why it came out at 40. Let me grab Kel real quick.
Okay. Let's come back to that. Explain some of the stuff you have below it.
Okay, so we have $10,000 in overtime, and that's to cover staff absences, projects, et cetera, supported by additional revenue. So, you know, with their huge increase in—
Nothing really we can do there. I consider that maintenance. Commissioners, you consider that maintenance?
Yes.
Commissioner Trask?
Yeah.
Okay. We're moving the 10,000 over, David.
Okay.
For, the absences, extra work, additional revenue supported. Okay, fire marshal.
If you're ready to go back to the fire
No,
marshal.
she'll be on in a minute. She's on another
Okay.
line.
All right, let's go down to the next one.
Okay, the next one is $15,000, and this is in professional services for big projects to cover staff absences, so to contract out for staff absences, and it's supported by additional revenue as well.
And again, this was to cover some of those big projects we were just sending out. Hopefully we're bringing more back in.
Yep.
But apparently it looks like you still need an additional 15, Dave?
Yeah, that's a buffer. We're looking at this, especially in this next year, as the Belfair area builds up, more of those things going out to additional review.
Commissioner Sheedy?
Support it, yeah.
Commissioner Trask? All right, we'll move it over.
Okay,
I still do not see her on, so let's just keep going.
Yeah.
okay, so that's all that we have in community development, was that 80,000 total. So now we have in Fund 117, and I don't know if Casey is coming on or if you're doing this, Dave, but
Kel is now on.
Hey there, sorry about that.
That's okay. Kel, can you explain to us why it's saying a partial amount for added time to the fire marshal instead of a full fire marshal position?
I can, if I can remember what Kathy told me the reason for that. So I think my understanding was that we would come back to, and hopefully Kathy's on and she can jump in.
Hi, Kathy.
I am on. I can explain. I can explain this one if you don't mind, Kel.
Yeah, please.
Please do.
Sure. So, you know, the preliminary budget is due August 9th.
Timing.
And when we submitted the preliminary budget, it was decided that we had been overexpending the line item for Mike Six's time. So we needed to fix that for the preliminary budget. From August 9th up until currently, Kel had started briefing on you a couple times on, we really have the need now to go out and look for building official and fire marshal. So it was budgeted that way in preliminary. And now it's changing to, we're going out for salary survey to see what the cost of a full-time fire marshal is.
So if I understand it correctly, commissioners, what we'll do is park this as a placeholder, and closer to budget time, we'll bring in actuals for position and relook at it at that time. Is that what you would expect?
That works for me.
Sounds good.
Okay, that's what we're going to do. So with that new information, Kathy, thank you very much. We're going to put a placeholder on it and try to replace that line item in the future with the full breakdown of what it costs for the full position and bring it back as we get closer to budget time.
Perfect. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Commissioners, thank you.
And so would that be also for the added building official?
Is that building official in here?
No, so that would be the same.
Okay, so we'll bring that back. Can you put something in there somewhere, Jennifer, just to let us know that we're going to need to make sure that's addressed and we don't drop that ball?
Yeah. Okay. So that's all for community development. So now moving on to Fund 117, which is the Community Support Services Department or Fund. We're moving, or they're asking to move a 0.2 FTE from health and into Fund 117. Which I believe would be maintenance, but I wanted to make sure, since it was crossing funds, that it was again showcased as a PLR.
So we're just moving, it's not an increase, just moving from the place it comes from.
Yes, that's correct.
I consider that maintenance, commissioners.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we have an FTE ask, and this is for $82,490, and it's to add 1 FTE to housing. And I don't know if Dave wants to speak, Dave or somebody wants to speak on that.
Oh, yeah, this is the one that was approved this last year or this last summer. And this is what it will look like as we go into 2022.
Okay, so this was already approved. This is another one that is a maintenance that we just haven't recognized yet in the past year's budget.
In fact, we just interviewed 2 great candidates today.
Okay, maintenance commissioners?
Good with me.
Yep.
Was this a temporary or was it a permanent?
I think we're going to temporary in that. We'll look at get it in, I think we said 2 years on that one.
Okay, I'll double check. Okay, great. Okay, so that all the benefits are attached to that 0.2 that we're moving. So that's all for Fund 117. So now we just have the Health Department, Fund 150, and there's the second part of that moving that 0.2.
Okay.
And the only other thing that we have for the health department is the $376,255, the transfer in from current expense. And so right now, the way that their budget is presented, they will need that full transfer in. And their beginning fund balance is reserved for other grants. And so or it's, reserved prepaid grants. So they won't have anything left over, according to this budget in cash, unless we transfer it over. So I would recommend doing that.
In the past, commissioners, I don't know if you remember, and you probably don't, just repeating things you may already know, but we've taken that out from them in the past when they had excess monies coming in, and this was actually a norm that this money was to be in there in the past. So I think what we're doing is just reinstating what we had done before we were cutting that number down. Is that accurate, Jennifer?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just to balance their budget really. And then when it actually comes to transferring the money in, we would base it on need.
Commissioner Schutte.
Yeah, I would be supportive of this.
Commissioner Trask.
I don't know if they've really proven their worth this year. No, supportive.
Okay, let's make it happen.
Okay, great. Just making sure they didn't have anything else hanging out in revenue, and they don't. Okay, so that takes care of the health department, and now we have Fund 164, and there are no PLRs in Fund 164, which is the mental health tax fund. All of our transfers out and transfers in are in balance, so that is amazing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So thank you very much for everybody in community services for working on that with me and the other departments. So that's all that I have for your department, Dave.
Dave, do you have anything extra for us you'd like to talk about?
Well, just kind of a heads up, and we've talked about it before. We have money coming in from FPHS that's going to be coming in, and we've talked about that in kind of a that it's not in contract now. So what's in the budget right now is what we actually have in contract right now. So as we get those other funds coming in, then we'll do a budget amendment. If we're still within the budgeting process, we'll go through the budgeting process on those. So we're expecting another $526,000 for FPHS activities. And then some of the contractual stuff that ends at the end of this year, we're waiting for the contracts to come through that actually extend that through 2023. So the latest word I have from the state is those funds will be extended, but they're left where they're at until we get those contracts.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have anything for Dave? All right. Thank you very much, Dave.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, so commissioners, unless you have a third sheet of paper that I didn't get, we're at the end of your agenda, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Casey.
Casey.
Thank you.
There's a motion on the floor that we adjourn. Hearing none, we are adjourned. See everybody tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock.
Good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.